Welcome back to Hidden Source News, your source for deep, real-time reporting on the stories everyone's talking about, but few understand. Smash that subscribe button and let's dive into today's top developments from around the globe. Canada and China have announced a significant bilateral trade agreement that dramatically eases the tariff standoff that has damaged exporters on both sides. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney met with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, where Ottawa agreed to slash its 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles and instead allow up to 49,000 EVs into Canada annually at a 6.1% tariff rate. In exchange, China will cut tariffs on a host of Canadian agricultural and seafood products, including canola seed, from roughly 84% to about 15%, and remove anti-discrimination duties on lobsters, crabs, peas, and canola meal starting March 1st. The deal seeks to unlock nearly $3 billion in exports for Canadian farmers and processors and signals Ottawa's pivot toward diversifying trade outside heavy reliance on the U.S. market. While hailed as a landmark reset, critics warn it could strain Canada's relationship with the U.S. and expose domestic industries to heightened Chinese competition. In a dramatic shift after months of Middle East tensions, the U.S. has halted plans for bombardment linked to the Iran confrontation against protesters, declaring a fragile ceasefire in effect. President Trump, who previously boasted of targeting Iran's nuclear infrastructure and destroying Iran, announced a cessation of direct U.S. strikes, urging Tehran cease the killing of civilian population that are in open protest requesting regime change. The pause follows intense diplomatic pressure as global leaders sought to prevent a wider regional war, with the U.S. balancing support for the protesters amid escalation by Iran police forces. Tehran's response has been cautious, with intermittent accusations of violations, but so far open hostilities have remained high, with U.S. pulling back military personnel from key Middle Eastern bases as a precautionary measure. The ceasefire's sustainability is uncertain, with both sides warning they are prepared to resume force if provoked. Minnesota has become a focal point of national uproar after escalating clashes between protesters and federal ICE agents. The demonstrations, which began in response to aggressive immigration enforcement actions, have spread beyond Minneapolis and drawn thousands into the streets, decrying what activists call unlawful detentions and violent tactics by ICE. Some protesters have been arrested during clashes, and at least 2 U.S. civilians, employees at a Minnesota Target store, were reportedly detained by immigration agents amid the growing violent manifestations that continue to escalate out of control, with reports of churches' other gathering areas being used as points of manifestations. National Guard units have been placed on standby as tensions rise, and a federal judge has intervened, ordering that peaceful demonstrators not be targeted or subjected to excessive force. The situation reflects deeper discontent with federal immigration policies and the Trump administration's aggressive law enforcement posture, fueling broader debates over civil liberties and local authority. Claims circulated across social platforms that Cuba had declared war on the United States, but official sources are now denying that a formal state of war has been declared. The Cuban National Defense Council did approve plans and measures for transitioning to a state of war under its long-standing strategic defense doctrine, but Havana's government has clarified these are contingency frameworks rather than an active declaration of war. Cuban officials frame the document as part of regular defense planning amid what they describe as heightened United States militarization in the Caribbean, but they stopped short of saying hostilities or a war declaration are underway. Analysts warn that ambiguous language and regional security tensions could easily be misinterpreted as official war, feeding misinformation. At this stage, the situation remains rhetorical and policy-oriented rather than an actual armed conflict. Tensions over United States' interest in acquiring or exerting control over Greenland have sparked a strong reaction from European capitals and the European Union. President Trump has made clear that Greenland is viewed by his administration as a strategic national security priority and has even floated tariffs tied to opposition from European nations. In response, European Union leaders, including Germany and France, have publicly condemned perceived United States blackmail, insisting Europe will not tolerate coercive behavior and hinting at massive counter-tariffs up to 93 billion euros under the bloc's anti-coercion instrument. An emergency European Union summit is being convened to coordinate a response, reflecting deep concern that United States ambitions could undermine NATO unity and violate Danish sovereignty. Some European Union officials have also underscored that any forceful takeover of Greenland would be catastrophic for transatlantic security structures. That wraps today's Hidden Source News. If you found these updates enlightening, don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button. Stay informed with the stories shaping this moment. We'll see you next time.